Alibaba with that incredible 3% revenue growth. I kid, because I can remember the days when it was 3 something, 36, 38, 39, just 3. But not any outsized moves, guys, in terms of at least the response to many of these earnings, either up or down. I think NVIDIA may be down a bit. Macy's may be up a bit. Cisco may be up a bit. Baba down. So, and there you see it. Jim, I want to come to you on these.
Sure. Well, NVIDIA said that over and over again that China was tough, although they did arrange it so that they had something to sell that was in keeping with what our government wanted. But the word tough keeps coming up. The supply chain issues that Chuck Robbins had from Cisco have been solved, and that those involve China. He doesn't do an actual lot of business in China, in part because I think they recognized early on not a great place to work. The analysts were way too skeptical. By the way, Macy's, just to be sure that everyone knows, the last 2 weeks of October were not good, but the first week of November was good. So I think we got to get away from the this day, that day, or otherwise we're going to have to report on what it's like tomorrow on the weather. What I think, David, is that there's more confusion than I've seen about how strong or weak the economy is. But the more confusion there is, the more nervous people get, the more it becomes inevitable that we have at least a soft recession, quote.
Yeah, the Macy's figures show quite a bit of discipline on inventories, Jim. We've been looking at inventories up double digits easily at some of their competitors. Here, only up 4, and actually inventory to sales down 13 points at Macy's.
Down down 19% from 2019. Holiday gift newness. This does matter. What they have. This is exciting. Is good. Bloomies and Blue Mercury stand out. David, I think from sales guidance, David, I think that you're seeing this kind of all over the map. But that if you ask me right now, Target seems like more of an outlier than Home Depot, than Walmart, and certainly Lowe's, where Marvin Ellison took a lot of tough medicine, wasn't even mentioned to make Lowe's better. So I continue to think that things are good, not great, good versus where I thought they'd be. But when I listen to someone like Bullard, I think he was hoping for bad, and only bad would really shake things up. And David, if we're hoping for bad, then we're hoping for a hard landing to eliminate inflation. And I was still hoping for a soft landing to eliminate it over time.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point. Of course, the question we were asking yesterday, is Target more of an outlier? And you seem to be answering it, and perhaps we're getting the answer with all these other results. That said, is the Fed going to be happy that we continue to see this pace of layoffs only increasing, even potentially at Cisco as well, Jim?
Well, I think, and Cisco, just to be clear, they're not laying off. They're switching from they're moving away from the equivalent of Zoom into security, and I thought that was good. Security was down 9%, but I would tell you, David, that the thing that they just don't want to seem to recognize where the layoffs are coming from, and they're coming from tech. And I think that yesterday when we saw a piece that just said you shouldn't think that tech with 34,000 layoffs is going to mean anything. I continue to think that tech is a function much broader. I mean, the whole point of tech, how it advanced, was because it started touching every single part of our country, and certainly, of course, advertising, bankers, lawyers. There's a complex involving tech that's much bigger, say, than housing. So, David, if we look at housing and we think, oh, that's slow, maybe you're okay, you should be looking at tech and the layoffs to decide whether they're okay. And the government has to get a little more in keeping with the idea that tech is integral to the economy and not just something that's ethereal and exists in a little valley in California.